Hello, this is Chris Zoller. I'm an extension educator in Tuscarawas County for Agriculture and Natural Resources with Ohio State University Extension. And I want to talk to you briefly about kind of a summary of the eFields research in Ohio and in my county, and specifically looking at soybeans and corn seeding rate studies. The slide that you see here is the statewide results for the soybean seeding rates between 2017, the first year for the project, and 2019. So over the 3 years, there were 40 sites. Seeding rates ranged from a low of 50,000 to a high of 240,000. And you can see the average stand rates for each of those years. 2017 was 87, 83%, and 76%. And then we have a range which went on the low end from 50% up to 98%. So that's a soybean statewide seeding rate study. Looking at 2019 specifically, this slide shows across the bottom is the target seeding rate in 1,000 seeds per acre, and then relative yield. The red, solid red line that you see across the top is at 90%. So the majority of those studies fell were above that 90% in terms of relative yield. And just one site had anything below that 90%, and that was the lower emerging site for that year. So again, if we look across the board from the 70-something to almost about 240,000, everything was above that 90% of relative yield. And this just summarizes over the 3 years, the numbers of treatments each year and the percent that fell below 90% and 95%. And so we had the first year, 51 treatments, 2 were below 90%, 11 below 95%. In 2018, 90 treatments, 6 below 90 and 13 below 95. And then this past year, 122 treatments. And you can see the percentages or the numbers that fell below those percentages. So overall, very positive. This is interesting. This is a soybean seeding rate economics calculator, looking at various seeding rates from the low of 80,000 to a high of 240,000. We hold our seed rate, our seed cost constant, and our yields are constant across there. And so if we look at those different seeding rates, given those numbers, the very bottom there shows return above seed cost. You can see what those numbers look like. And the interesting thing is if we move that from 160,000 to 120,000 seeds per acre, we can see that that 40,000 seed difference, we actually have a higher return above seed cost, as it's highlighted here with that oval. And so if we, looking at all the soybean acres in Ohio, if we reduce those by 40,000 from 160 to 120, we look at a savings per acre of $17.12. We multiply that by just over 5 million acres of soybeans in Ohio. That amounts to $87 million that we're putting back and keeping in folks' pockets. So looking specifically at the Tuscarawas County seeding rates for soybeans, and run through these a little quickly. This is 2017. We looked at 80,000 at the low end, 160 at the high end, and in our particular study, 100,000 seeds per acre had the highest yield. In 2018 and 19, we looked at not only the yield, but also the return above seed cost. And so in 2018, we had relatively virtually unchanged yields, but 100,000 was the highest yielding and the highest return above seed cost. And in 2019, 80,000 was actually our highest return above seed cost, not the highest yielding. 1 bushel per acre more was the difference, but overall, those lower seeding rates did very, very well. Corn seeding rates, looking at statewide results, we had in a 3-year period, had 28 sites across the state, ranged from a low of 22,000 seeds per acre to a high of 44,000 seeds per acre, and really good stand averages over those 3 years, 92 to 96%. These next slides look at, you can see on the right-hand side, all the different counties that were involved. We don't really see that as distinct a line as we do with soybeans with these corn seeding rates, but it gives you an idea that most of these studies were 90% or better above. Looking specifically in our county, we had, this is the first year in 2017, looked at different seeding rates, a low of 22,000 to a high of 38,000. And so somewhere in that 30 to 34,000 was our highest yielding. And then in 18 and 19, we added in not only yield, but return above seed cost. And so the population in 2018 at 34,000 was the highest return above seed cost, not quite the highest yielding, but the highest return above seed cost. And in 2019, it was actually the highest yielding at 36,000 and the highest return above seed cost. And then I had a farmer contact me who, it's a dairy farm, was planting 30-inch rows, and a year or so decided to plant, just kind of experiment with 15-inch rows, so doubling back and planting those 15-inch rows. And he heard about the eFields project and wanted to see if this couldn't be a part of it. So we developed a layout here where we had 15-inch rows and 30-inch rows at varying seeding rates. And in this case, our 15-inch rows are what we called our highest seeding rate, was the best yielding at 229 bushels per acre. And he plans to do that again this year with another plot that will be participating in the program. Just a real quick thank you to our cooperating farms in the county, Carling Farms, Durbin Farms, and Spillman Farms. Any questions?